Chair. Okay. The next item is the minutes to approve a correct record of the minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday the 18th of May and Tuesday the 8th of June. So for the 18th of May, has anybody got any amendments or issues on those minutes? No? Yes, yes. Are you proposing? Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Dot. So the minutes of Tuesday, the 8th of June. Has anyone got anything on those? Any amendments or comments? No? Yes, yes. Neil, can anyone second those? Howard Thomas, yes. Right. Item 4 is declaration of interest. Has anyone got any declarations of interest on anything on the agenda this evening that they need to declare? No? Right, so that's no declarations of interest. Item 5 is public forum. This is to consider questions, statements or petitions from members of the public who are welcome to this meeting and have a total collectively of, well, they're having 3 minutes each to speak. So can we have the first speaker? Is that Colin Unwin?
Yes, that's me. I'm allowed only 3 minutes to speak, so I'll dispense with the normal pleasantries. My name is Colin Unwin. I'm speaking on behalf of Tum Hill Residents Group. Tum Hill Residents Group is a non-political, officially recognised constituted residents group. The constitution of the group prevents any member of the management team from involvement in active politics. This is to ensure the actions of the residents group are not biased by party politics of any form. Some of you know me already. Some of you do not, but few of you know that I live with a hearing impairment. I live with constant tinnitus. This is the result of being exposed to excessive noise in an industrial environment. Sadly, hearing impairment is not uncommon in this town, given the long history of weaving and engineering. The last time I addressed this chamber was in 2004. In person, the acoustics were poor. It is not a secret. We are all aware of this, so why so little progress has been made to ensure the sound quality of stream meetings is adequate, I struggle to understand. Why is this not a priority? Is it discrimination, or is it just the bias of privilege? Or is it just some form of unconscious bias? Who knows? What I do know is that it excludes those of us who have a hearing impairment from the democracy demonstrated in this chamber. I find it almost impossible to interpret the sound streamed from the chamber. I ask you, how does the sound quality impact the sight impaired, or those members of the community whose first language is not English? Democracy is the foundation of our society. Democracy, as you are demonstrated in the chamber, is about debate, the face-off of ideas, opinion, and the expression of legitimate disagreement, and listening to the opinions of others. By not adequately facilitating the inclusion of all communities in the debate and the exchange of ideas it encompasses, you are attacking democracy itself. This brings me to my community. My neighbourhood has over the past 30 years lost large areas of amenity land to successive housing developers that now form the Nottingham estate. All of this was used as open space amenity for this community for generations, and despite being privately owned, public use was encouraged by successive landowners. As a group, we have a 20+ year history of protecting and enhancing green spaces across Tum Hill. In the 2000s, this group successfully fought several campaigns against building on South Valley fields. This included 2 planning applications and the planning inspectorate appeal. We contributed to the South Valley Master Plan, both in written form and through workshop sessions. It's therefore unusual, given these factors, that the group has not been contacted previously to make a formal contribution to the neighbourhood plan. Having now studied the resulting neighbourhood plan, it is evident that there are multiple errors and omissions that we wish to address. Written evidence has been submitted that demonstrates how the nominated areas more than adequately fulfil the 3 requirements set out in the NPPF. As without amendment, the Colne neighbourhood plan does not reflect the needs of my neighbourhood at all. I urge you all to grasp the nettle and make these amendments, as the neighbourhood plan should be a plan for all neighbourhoods and not just for those who shout loudest and most often. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin. I'll just update you that we are looking at updating our sound system. So hopefully the next time you're here, you will be able to hear everyone very clearly. So can we have the next speaker? That would be Kieran McGladdery.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. McGladdery, yes.
Oh, brilliant.
I had issues last week. Thank you, Chair. We're still talking about this topic, which I think is a surprise to many. As I did think myself that the last meeting would be followed by a vote, but I'm quite pleased as I didn't have a chance for my 2 penneth last time because of the issues. So thank you again. As a new borough councillor for Bardsley Bridge, I do have a heightened interest in the Colne neighbourhood plan and what it means for the residents of our town. Specifically within Vivry, I have received many messages from residents extremely concerned about the green space and the consequences of the Colne neighbourhood plan not being introduced. The message has been clear: support the plan councillors. Given the time constrictions, I'll try and stick with some salient points. 5 years ago, the neighbourhood plan started taking shape. Plan utilised specialist expertise in the form of Kirkwells, who have worked successfully on dozens of similar projects before. This was no backroom job done by the few. The working group included contributions from councillors of all parties, with all areas of Colne having had representation. Regards to communication of the neighbourhood plan, the Colne Town Council website was well utilised, with the neighbourhood plan given landing page coverage. A dedicated website was created, easily found via a Google search. Local media had articles published within them. Weekly social media posts were scheduled and proven successful, with many residents interacting and sharing them. Businesses were consulted separately, with many of them displaying flyers and other literature. Could go on all day about the communication, but alongside all of this and many more examples, as that wasn't exhaustive, 2 full consultations were held, giving residents full opportunity to comment, and many did so. My point is this: it has been no secret. There's been ample opportunity over the last 5 years for residents to voice opinion by a multitude of avenues, indirectly through the councillors, directly to the working group, or via consultations, for example. We cannot let the pendulum plan overtake us, councillors. We're at a deal or no deal stage now, with any delays jeopardising the whole project. Within pendulum plan, that means no green spaces at all. It means we have no design code, policies looking after shop fronts, brownfield sites, food establishments, all would get canned, meaning somewhat of a free-for-all. Highly ranked amongst the worst consequences of delaying the Colne neighbourhood plan, and perhaps the worst of all, is that Colne could absorb all housing targets dumped on us from other towns. Councillors, I urge you to press on and get the neighbourhood plan progressed as it is to the next stage. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Councillor McGladdery. Thank you. Do we have Councillor Sutcliffe? Councillor Ash Sutcliffe there.
Yes, hello, good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Good evening, yes.
Yes, brilliant, thank you. Good evening, councillors. As you know, I joined you last week in the council chamber and heard not only the public commentary, but also the conversation that was had between councillors. And I was surprised that after 4 years, some councillors were still seemingly unaware of the gravity and weight that the Colne neighbourhood plan carries in planning terms. However, I was pleased that many of you seemed to see the penny drop. And thanks to comments from people like Sharon Dale, Andrew Ashworth, and the consultant from Kirkwells, I could see that with further information, you could see for yourselves just what this means for the future of our town. I simply don't want to imagine what could happen if we did not have the neighbourhood plan in place. So I'm here to ask you to do the right thing. And to afford the whole town the protection it deserves by pushing forward with the next regulation of the neighbourhood plan. It is time. You have heard all the arguments and you have looked at the cost implications, the in monetary terms, and of course what could be lost to developments, which will be a burden carried by anyone who chooses to vote against this plan. The neighbourhood plan is a live working document when it is in place. So if you have ideas in the future or want to add anything in, then of course bring it forward for assessment then. But now, and right now, is your time to vote to make the plan a reality. And I urge you to do so as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sutcliffe. Thank you. On to item 6 now, to receive a schedule of payments from the 12th of May to the 8th of June 2021 for approval. Have anybody any comments on this?
We'll bring them out to you. If anyone wants to comment, we'll bring them out to you.
Does anyone want to comment? No? Okay. Thank you. So can someone propose those, please? Those schedule of payments. Can I have a seconder? That's David Coburn-Price. So David Clegg proposed and David Coburn-Price second. The next item, item B, is to receive a summary of budget spend and commitment as at 8th of June. Again, I ask any comments or amendments? No? Can I get a proposer for that then, please? Thank you, David. Can I have a seconder? Oh, Emma, please. Emma. Thank you. So those, do we have any dissenting voices on those two? So we can say those have been approved by the council, right? Now, item 7 is phone boxes on Albert Road. So I'm asking the town clerk to give us an update of, because she's been tasked with looking at this item.
Thank you, Chair. So a couple of months ago, I was asked to look at the adoption possibilities for the phone boxes on Albert Road. What we've discovered is they are actually on Lancashire County Council's land, and therefore, without getting formal written consent, BT won't even consider us for it. If we did get that, they may consider it, but it's whether the council would like to go forward with that further. The question to ask the council, though, before they decide that is, what do they want to do with them? Because they are listed and therefore cannot change the external appearance of them. So we would also not receive them with any electricity at all, because the power source would be cut off prior to transfer.
I've got Dorothy that would like to speak. Then Alice.
Can I propose that we just press ahead with it, please? Thank you.
Alice, Councillor Mount.
Last week, I was reading the Daily Telegraph, and there was a phone box in a village, and it was cascading with flowers. It looked absolutely fantastic, and it would be a real asset to this town if we had 2 phone boxes that we could really develop as a town resource.
So we've got that proposal from Councillor Lord and
Sorry,
Neil.
Chair, just a question. If Colne in Bloom took them on, would it affect the Colne Council's, provenance over it? All right.
I think with it being a listed building, we'd have to keep the windows in, and we couldn't mess about with the exterior or anything. Is that what I understand of a listed whatever. Yes, Sarah.
I have seen many innovative uses of phone boxes, and most of them have been in villages. People have had tuck shops, food banks, book exchanges. And you look at all of these things and you think how marvelous that is. But I think that they are in villages like Fulridge and Trawden. And I fear that if we were to take them over, we would have an ongoing liability of sort of people urinating on the books or whatever. And I am really, really concerned about the fact that, yes, they are listed buildings and they're made of metal. So anything like plants, we're talking water, watering, rust, metal fatigue, concern. And I fear that it would be an incredible, almost feat of engineering to protect the metal listed structure from the water. And I think that I haven't read anywhere where this has been successfully done. The other uses have been in villages. So if there was a fabulous innovative use that Colne was crying out for, and I know that several years ago we discussed defibrillators, and we now thankfully have quite a few of those in central Colne. If there was a fabulous use that just hit us all with its brilliance, I'd be in support of it. But I don't think that we've got there, and the whole flower water thing and the listed structure bothers me. Thank you.
Yes, Dot, do you want to come back on that?
Well, at the moment, we're only inquiring. You know, and if we turn down, we turn down. But at the moment, we're just inquiring about them. We're just asking, what do we do? What happens? What can happen? The actual boxes, I think, are made of cast iron, but I might be wrong there. But when you're talking about the water from the plants, I'm wondering what happens when it actually rains on the boxes. But I'm just interested in finding out. Let's go a little bit further with nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose, if we make some more inquiries, and then we'll see what we want to do with them. And Alice's suggestion there was my very first thought when I thought about the boxes being, you know, being able to adopt them, and lots of people do it. So I don't know why it would be different for us. People, you know, the first photograph I found, the first image I found, there was cascading out of where the glass was and wasn't anymore. You know, I don't know how many are actually in the country of these red boxes are actually listed.
Can I ask Naomi? I think she knows that she's asked a few questions, so she might be able to answer about the windows and whether they're rotting. A proposal. Yeah.
I have done further research into it. The next step, if the council wanted to take them, would to get the formal consent from Lancashire County Council. Until that happens, no one will talk. I have looked into it with them being listed, and from what I've been told from various experts, you're not allowed to change the exterior visage of it. Is that the right word? Because it's also, with being in the conservation area, it has the secondary impact on it. So I have done further investigation on it. They are at the bottom corroding. So the honest answer is they won't have as long a life. And if we have to repair them or replace them, it will be a very similar thing to we've had at the town hall with cast iron drain pipes and everything. It has to be done in the same material, same paint and all that.
But you still want to ask the question, is that right? Yeah. Councillor Thomas.
I expect to be ignored at home, but not anyway. Nathan is pointing a microphone. I think we're all being a bit moaning minis. We're all everybody's looking at it and finding reasons why we shouldn't, instead of reasons why we should. If they're going rotten at the bottom, and whatever they call themselves now, British Telecommunications, I assume they are, they should be maintaining them because they're a listed building, first thing. And I see no reason why we can't formally approach the county and say, what about it? I'm not sure we need electricity in them anyway. And if the local populace are going to go in and urinate in them, there'll be no change to what they're doing now. So, you know, it'll just that probably adds to the listing of it, that they smell like that. And anyway, sorry, that's a facility. What we should do is look to how we can possibly save these from going to rack and ruin, and let's, you know, look at the next stages. And if they really are as rotten as people are saying, I don't know, I've not had a close look, we would say to the powers that be that we'll only take them on if they're brought up to the standard that they should be, because they're a listed, it's hardly a building, but a listed post box. Not post box, telephone box, sorry. So I'll second Councillor Lord's motion.
So we've had a proposal and a second. So I'll put it to the vote. All those who want to inquire further, first of all to the County Council, yeah? All those in favour of that? Right. The next item is Christmas lights. This is a proposal from the bid, as I understand it. Have we got any further information?
Certainly, Chair. What it is Colne Business Improvement District are looking to purchase a Christmas tree of sorts, a cone tree, I believe they call it, and have it in Hartley Square. Their concern is with them having to be voted in again in another couple of years, that they're not able to take it on as a long-term project. Their intention is that if they are voted in again, that they will keep paying the maintenance and everything and the installation costs, but they would like a plan B as such, that would we add it to our additional Christmas lights if they didn't come back when they have the vote again. The other question is they want to use our electricity for it, for the season. So the suggestion is that we charge them a minimum or a fee of approximately £15, which will pay for all the electricity for it as a contribution from them.
What do people think about this? It's not a real Christmas tree, it's one of these.
Well, they certainly used to have one in Barnoldswick. I've seen one somewhere, maybe Barrowford have one, I don't know. Is it Nelson? Well, there is another one somewhere around in Pendle. So the maintenance cost and the storage cost will be minimal. I'm guessing from the fact that it's £15 for the electric, they're all LEDs anyway. I can see no reason not to be the bid's plan B for it. So I'll move we take them up on it.
Neil.
Thank you. Yeah, we all know that our Christmas light switch on is phenomenal. The amount of people that come to it is phenomenal. So to get a nice tree like that, the bid paying for it, and minimal cost, I am all for it. It's all about the public, all about Christmas. So I am for it. Thank you.
Dorothy?
I want to raise this later on as a councillor's question, if that's. I've been asked if we or the bid can provide a better nativity scene than the one we have, which is really tiny and it's in the glass house. So we used to have a nativity scene in the grounds of St. John's, if you remember. And it was a fairly biggish box with a window in. And it was really lovely. I don't know what happened to that, but I've been looking it up, and for a decent figure sizes, you're talking £500 or £600. So I wondered if we can look into having a proper nice nativity scene than the one we've got.
Can it go on the next month's as an additional
Yeah.
item, because it's not on the agenda at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll go back to the Christmas lights. There's two proposals there. The first one is that we agree to take on the ownership, maintenance. Oh, sorry, Alice.
I just want to echo what Councillor Butterworth was saying. It's a fantastic thing to have for our town, but I think we might be being a bit Scrooges by asking them to pay £15. I just wonder if we can just negate that.
Well, the proposals are that we would charge them £15 for using the power. I don't think that's a lot to ask, really.
It's also the maintenance.
And the maintenance, if there's any maintenance. So it's not too much. So we've got two proposals there. Number one, can I have, well, we can do them together. Does someone want to propose? Can I have a seconder that we get this Christmas tree and maintain it? Howard Thomas seconded it. Can we see, can we vote? Can we show us show of hands, please? Thank you. I'll just pick that. Right, activities within Colne on August Bank Holiday. This is, it says it's an item for information only, but I know that Naomi's been talking to the bid about this for a number of weeks. So can you update us, please?
Certainly, Chair. So at a previous meeting, I was asked to find out what other businesses were doing within the town for the August Bank Holiday weekend, because there was some concerns about safety. I have done the research on this. I can tell you that the pubs are planning to have music on. The bid are planning something, but at the moment they're not able to get consent from borough or county council, because the borough and county council are not currently giving any consent for events on their land. The rugby club are also looking to hopefully do something up there involving camping and music, but again, they are struggling with the consents because the county and borough aren't giving them. I also spoke to licensing and the police in regards to this, because I know there was some concerns about crowds. They have absolutely no concerns about this, having been open last August Bank Holiday. There wasn't issues with it, and they did remind us that actually, as licensed premises, it is solely the licensee's responsibility to maintain their crowds. And if we were to try and get involved, it would muddy the water and could make us liable.
Any comments or questions on that update? No? I mean, I presume if we're able to, the businesses will do something on that weekend and have bands on as they usually do. But it's all up in the air at the moment, obviously. Yes.
I think just a general comment about this. I think the country's at odds with all this. I mean, the Leeds Festival is going on, and many other festivals over that weekend. You know, and I'm not saying it's wrong that we're not having it, that we've cancelled it. I think that was absolutely right. It's just so confusing when you hear of all these other things going on and football matches and, you know, but we're at where we're at.
I can answer why they're allowed to go ahead and ours aren't. They are restricted access. You have to have a ticket to be within that area. So therefore they're able to track who is attending. It's the same with the football matches and all that. All of these are restricted entry, and unfortunately, none of our events are able to do that with being in the town centre.
Item 10 is sound system in the chamber, what Mr. Unwin was talking about. I don't know whether it's a Finance, Employment and Services Committee about upgrading the sound system within the council chamber.
Yes, Chair. What it is you can see we're trialling something this evening. We've looked at trying to get a wireless system for the town hall for the chamber that's very similar to this, but without the wires. It is about 30 grand. We don't have 30 grand in the budget for it. However, a system like this that is daisy chained round and everyone would have their own microphone and own speaker, and yes, it feeds into the speakers up there as well, can be done for £5,000. That gives us 25 individual speakers and mics, and would cover the system. It will also link in to the live stream. So everything that we say into these mics goes straight onto that. So it should solve the sound issue. Now, the quote only came in today, so I do apologise that it hasn't been sent out. If members wanted to do this, we would need to look at waiving Standing Order 18E due to the specialist nature and urgent requirement for the system. And the proposal would be for the wired system at a cost of just under 5,000 to use funds from the event budget with a smaller provision made for glass box decorations for Halloween if we found a shortage.
Neil.
Okay, so I presume the system you're looking at is for these things, right? We're going to spend maybe £5,000 on microphones because of these, and because people can't hear us even with a microphone, I'm muffled. So what my suggestion was before was that the person speaking removes a mask, and then, you know, all you've got a mask on, the person speaking takes the mask off, talks, and then we carry on, put the mask back on. £5,000 for a system like this, and they'll be out of use in, hopefully, in 2 months' time. We won't have the mask on. So it's a lot of money just for a couple of months for 2 meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got Alice and then Howard and then Dot. So Alice first.
I've been a councillor here in this chamber for, I think, 3 years. And it's been horrendous. Every time we've met, I can't hear. So it doesn't matter whether we're wearing these masks or not. I'm usually sat a little bit further away from the top table, so to speak, and you just cannot hear. So I think this is a fantastic idea and reasonably priced. Thank you.
Howard?
Just waiting for me. I think following on from what Alice has just said, it isn't just because of the masks. There are people, I know before we had to suspend meetings, sitting over here, there were people complaining that it was difficult to hear what was going on. And if we are, as I think I mean, the irony of all ironies, I had trouble hearing what Colin Unwin was saying, but I think what he was saying, is anybody listening or watching on YouTube or any other thing would have difficulty hearing. And I think that would be whether we wore the masks or not. In years gone by, this room used to be used to be the other way around, and the chair would sit sort of under that window where the Coburn Prices are sat at the minute. And that was, in fact, slightly better acoustically. Presumably there's less, or it bounced off that wall better. I don't, it's a long time since I did acoustics. But I think, I'm surprised as well that it's £5,000, but on the other hand, I've not seen what it includes and all the rest of it. So I think, can I just clarify, is it the suggestion that it goes to FES in whenever, or just that we do it?
The suggestion is that we purchase it as soon as possible so we can get it in. They have actually said the turnaround for this could be as quick as the end of this week, so we could have it for allotments.
I think it's public money and we need 3 quotes. I don't know who these people are, but we need, I think it won't take long. I mean, I know 2 people who provide this sort of stuff, who do this professionally. So I think we should have
Gone out to 4 of the companies and asked for quotes, and they've said they won't touch it.
well, I'll have to discuss whether the people you've contacted are the people, but do. So I said, I think we should have 3 quotes because I know the councils use different people, and I know there's Manny Nelson who has his own sound company who does Manchester Festival, but he does things for Barnolds. Because I just think we need 3, like we always do. Why are we suspending standing orders when it's not urgent, particularly?
Yes, Councillor, we asked 4 companies in total to quote for the works. 3 of them said they wouldn't actually touch it. I believe their exact words were, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Because it's a very difficult system to put in because of the acoustics in the room. And as you can hear, even mine's starting to just slightly feedback. It was something the council asked me to investigate as a matter of urgency. So we did, unless you want it delegating back to FES for the beginning of July, but that will delay it.
Go away. I think we've met the standing order to get quotes, and the sooner we do it, the better. I don't think we'll gain anything by asking other people if that's the going rate. That's the going rate.
Thank you, Chairman. We have already asked for prices in a wider circle than standing orders require that we do. So on that score, as regarding getting, the various prices so we can go for either the best price or the best equipment, whichever we want to do, we've already done that. Mr. Unwin, in his comment earlier, was right in what he said. The sound quality in this room is rubbish. It always has been. There's always been certain people sat in certain parts of the room, depending on who was speaking at the time and where they were sat, find difficulty in hearing them, because everyone doesn't speak as loud as one another. Some people are not as good at hearing as others, and we're never going to get around that. So I think the way forward is to put these speakers in that Mr. Unwin has requested that we do, and several other people have. The only thing that I would object to in Mr. Unwin's comment was that he said that it's been going on for years while we've been streaming and nothing's been done about it. Well, that's a bit unfair, because we've only been streaming out of this council chamber since the 6th of May, when we got stopped from doing the virtual meetings online. So we've actually only, fair dues, give us a chance to get it right, because we've only been streaming out of here since the 6th of May. And since then, we've been getting prices, etc. But I think we ought to go forward. We'll worry about which part of the budget we're going to take it from later to buy the money. And I think we should go ahead and do it.
Thank you. Would it be, sorry, well, I'll just go to Sarah and then Kevin.
I really feel that there's no need, apart from in times of COVID, for us to sit at the extreme edges of the room. For many years, when I was on this town council, we sat very cooperatively in tables that were actually, I felt, psychologically performing much better. And I think Pat could hear, Pat's nodding with me there. It's an actually warmer, better way to sit. This confrontational way works for COVID. And as Councillor Butterworth said, we're very much hoping this is a very temporary measure. All of this wearing masks, all of this sitting at the extreme edges. So we're spending £5,000 of public money when we don't have any other quotes for something that might only be of use for a few months. And that really concerns me. I think we should look into other solutions.
Kevin, now.
Yeah, it's just that I mentioned last time that I hope you're considering an inductive loop with the price.
The hearing loop is already in working and has been the whole time.
That's good. Thank you.
Pat, and then Dot, and then David.
I've been a councillor for 15 years in this chamber. I've never been able to hear properly because I've always worn hearing aids. At the moment, I can't hear anybody apart from Sarah and David. There's no point even trying. I can't hear anybody on there either. I can't watch the mouths, I can't watch the faces. But it's not just that. I'm not going to get any better. And if I want to stay here, I might as well. Well, if I don't want to stay here, I can go and they can do what they like. But I'd like to be able to hear what's going on, just for once. And I nearly said enjoy my meetings, but you know what I mean. I want to be able to hear what's going on. I'm a member of this council and I want to know what's going on so that I can say what I need to say and do what I need to do. I can't do it without something speaking up to me.
Thank you. I've got Dot and then David Clegg, then me and then Mark. So Dot.
Pat's just summed it up there. I mean, I'm the same. And, you know, that my hearing isn't brilliant. Maybe I should have hearing aids as well. But we do all need to hear. Otherwise, I've missed so much. It's nothing to do with the mass. I've been in this council chamber for over 25 years. It's never, ever been good. Never. And we've spent 5,000 on less trivial things. And I think this is needed. And let's go forward with it and let's, get it done. Get it done.
Right,
we'll get it. Boris says that, doesn't he? We'll get the job done. Yeah.
David.
Chairman, no matter how close we all move together after the mass and the COVID's gone into the middle, that will help us hear one another. It will not help the people at home because it still needs picking up and sending out more professionally over the YouTube channel so that people at home can sit in their armchair if they want. They'll have the choice then. They can either come here and sit here and listen and watch, or they can do it from home. And as Mr. Unwin is saying, the public deserve a better quality sound system than what they've got now because they can't tell what anyone's saying. And we could all stand in a group in the middle and it still wouldn't make it any clearer at home. It needs the microphones to do it.
That's me next. And I just wondered whether having this system with all the wires, it wouldn't work for weddings and other things. You'd be better with a wireless one. I know it's more expensive, but we could sort of save up for it or something. I just don't, I think, spending it and it's going to have wires everywhere. I'm not sure. I mean, somebody could, that's just what I thought, that why don't we get a wireless if we could? But
At County Hall, everybody has their own platform that they switch on and off when they're ready to take it to work.
but is the wires all over? No, that must. Thank you for waiting. Anyway.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I can hear everything perfectly tonight. Thank you. I think that's a big improvement. The only thing I was going to say was that I agree with the chair. You know, I'd like to see more quotes, at least one other written quote. You know, I know you've gone out to companies and they've said, don't touch it with a barge pole, but I'd be uncomfortable voting for a measure without at least one other quotation.
Right, well, Kevin.
Yeah. Are you sure this is working now? Because I can't hear anything through these.
The hearing loop was tested this afternoon, and they said as long as it's on T setting, it
Yeah,
should
it's on
work.
T setting. I hear nothing.
Hmm.
All right.
Who said that it should work? This chap who brought these.
No, he tested it with me, so I had it on. There you go. Do you know what it was? Nathan just needed to turn it up.
Alice, last speaker.
I just want to say perhaps we could go forward by trying to get another quote in the next week. If we don't get this quote, then we move it on and we actually purchase this system for the £5,000 so that we're not waiting another month. That's just my suggestion.
Can I just add on the microphone? I just say, we don't want to try to get another book, not try.
So we've got some people here who want to go with this 5,000, this chap, and others who would just under 5,000, and there's others that want us to get another quote, not within the next week or so. So I'll put the first.
Can we, to rush things along, can we see if we get another quote or get another quote and then leave it to you, Chairman, to say yes, or can you not do that? My apologies, David, and let David, choose which one at a certain price. Instead of coming back to another meeting and wasting 4 weeks, if we get another quote, leave it to David, very capable, and go from there. Thank you.
The first one is that people want to go ahead now. Is anybody going to propose that?
Chairman, just to be open, we can ask some more information from Dale. What exactly was the standing orders and the financial regs say about getting the price forward? Because over a certain amount, you have to have 3 quotes. Over a lower amount, you can have just 1 price, and in between, you can just verbally get prices without doing quote. Can I ask what the standing orders?
I haven't got them with me, so I can't quote you them exactly. But at the price that we've got for this one, which is it's between 4,000 and 5,000, we would need 2 quotes because it's under the 5,000 mark. However, if you have made an attempt to get those quotes and you can evidence it, it would be counted as suitable under the standing orders.
Did we email them asking them for a quote?
No, we over the phone.
So do you know anybody else that you can ask for a quote from now?
Well, I know 2 people.
What we need to do is email these for interpret. Just email the 3 that didn't reply. You can get a formal yay or nay from them, and then
let's get back. It's going to go round in circles. We sat here in 12 months with the same. Not here, everybody.
So we've got is that a proposal? Have we got a seconder? Have we got another proposal? Can we vote on that first, on that we ask them to email? Right, the amendment is that we anybody second Sarah's amendment? Right, so this is, if everybody understands that we manage as we are until after the COVID thing. And quotes, yeah. So that's, can we vote on that then? Those who will be happy with that.
So you're voting on not getting quotes, but not doing anything to act the COVID restrictions?
No, getting quotes.
Get a cheaper quote, but get it straight away.
We've yes, but it won't on. I pushed it off. So the second, this proposal is that yeah, any against that amendment?
Sorry, could you just go in favour again?
Those in favour of did you not vote, Jonathan? Right. Seems that we're just going to try and get these.
We're taking names at Christmas, do.
Yeah. So
So Chair, it's time. You've got 8 against. Sorry, it's a tie vote from what I can count. You've got 8 in favour, 8 against, and 1 abstaining, which means it would go to the chairman for the chairman's vote.
right, well, I'll vote that we get another quote, but within the next week.
We can't get some out that quick, because we have to get everyone we've asked for quotes has wanted to come out to the building. And it's normally about 2 weeks before they've been able to do it. However, if I can get it done quicker than that, I will.
Thank you. Item 11 is Waterside multi-use games area lighting. So can you see there that the work's been agreed and the dates are just being finalised? I've got any comments on that? No? It's all good news, isn't it? Yeah. Right, item 12 is events committee terms of reference. You want to review these? Have you any issues, any comment? No, are we happy to accept them as they are? Can I have a proposer for the events committee? Can we have a seconder? Thank you, Dorothy. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 13 is the Queen's Green canopy. There's a request for Colne Town Council to plant a tree in Alkin Courts Park as part of the Queen's Green Canopy tree planting initiative. Can I have a proposal?
Does it literally mean one tree?
I think it does. I think that's what Naomi is working to.
You can plant as many as you want. We just haven't had a budget set for it. So we were looking at one to start because that was what was mentioned in the meeting.
I think perhaps what we ought to do is talk to the Woodland Trust and the Alkin Courts Woodland people and see if we can combine forces, as it were, and maybe plant a couple more than one.
Got Sarah and then Dorothy that want to speak on this.
If we get in contact with Lee Johnson because of the climate emergency position within Pendle Council, there are lots. Yeah, there are grants for those kinds of things. Wouldn't it be nice? And I'm looking at David Clamp, just as a thought, if we try to, yeah, but I'm just giving you an idea here. Why don't we try to think about creating an arboretum at Alkin Courts Park and try to sort of get trees from all over the Commonwealth that would obviously hardy enough to cope with the Cone winter. Wouldn't that be an exciting thing? It would be exciting just to plant one stately oak, but wouldn't it be even more exciting to represent the Commonwealth and then have some really fine specimen trees within Alkin Courts?
David, do you want to speak on this?
Sorry about that, Nathan. We entered into the House of Commons actually presenting us with some trees, and we were given 6 saplings that were trampled on within 3 days because they were that big. If we're going to plant a tree, for goodness sake, let's make it a tree of a decent size that people can actually see and that we can actually say with pride that was done under the Queen's Green canopy, not just a twig that's stuck in the ground. That'll do.
Thank you. We've got Neil and then I think Dot might want, but Neil, go on.
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues here. And the auditorium thing, I think that's a wonderful idea. Puts Colne back on the map. And as Mayor of Pendle, I'd like to come along and support you and donate a tree if possible. Because I think we should, in this climate, we need more forests, we need more countryside, we need more animals. So this pandemic's really kicked the backside out of us. So let's start fighting back. Thank you.
Doc, do you want to say anything there about this Queen's?
I helped plant a tree once. Well, I planted 2 actually. One's in the churchyard at Colne Parish, and I can't remember. It was planted in the year 2000 when I was mayoress, and Edwina Sargent planted it. I can't remember what the tree is, but it was from a tree that was 1,000 years old. So Sarah might know what. Yes. And it's still only that big.
Well, and that is but it is dual breast cancer.
It's never grown in 21 years.
What about something like a...
What I was going to say was, I'm sure I've read somewhere about this, that there are trees to be had. They're giving trees out somewhere, but I don't know.
So further investigation, because some people have mentioned like a blossom, like a cherry blossom tree or something with blossom. So we'll further investigation. Are we all happy with that? But we're in favour of it. Yeah.
Chair, just a point of information. The woodland that's there now started life as an arboretum to by a former borough engineer of Pendle Council, and the idea was to bring on trees there so that they could be planted about the borough. But obviously, something we won't see, but I think it's a good idea to have trees from as many places as we can get. We've got to be careful though that we don't bring some horrible bugs with it, which could happen.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Can we go on to item 14?
Right.
I'm going to do more research and find out costings and everything, and the mayor is going to donate some funds for a tree, or donate a tree.
Item 14 is a policy request. To consider the request for a Colne Town Council policy to be drawn up in relation to retiring councillors or councillors who are not re-elected, and to be formally thanked. I thought that a framed certificate would be something that people could keep, a letter. It'd soon get grubby. But if we're going to do that, it doesn't cost much, but a nice framed certificate would be something that, because I got one when I retired from the magistracy, and I've still got that on my sideboard. Yeah.
Yeah, not very.
No, just this council. We should thank people who are working for Colne. Does anybody want to dissent from this? No? Are we all happy with it? Can we vote, please, on this idea?
Sorry, you proposed it.
Yeah, I proposed it. Anybody second it? Kevin? All those in favour? Thank you. Item 15, wildflower area. Yes.
This comes up quite a lot. It comes up at Borough Council and it comes up here, and everybody thinks it's lovely because they've seen pictures in magazines, and it is. But I actually have a wildflower meadow, and I can tell you it's a load of work. You have to get plants that really sort of kill grass. One of them is the yellow rattle, and the soil here is far too rich and the weather is far too rainy to have a successful wildflower meadow without a lot of intervention. Down south on the chalky downland, it's so easy. Scatter a few seeds, it's rubbish soil, which is what wildflowers like. There's not that much rain and you get an abundance of flowers. But unless you're prepared to put in a lot of work on a wildflower meadow in Lancashire, you're going to be disappointed. It could be the law of diminishing returns. And you just need to know, you need to weed them, you need to kill the grass, you need to create new islands of wildflowers within the meadow every single year. It is a thing that is a body of work.
Thank you. Yes, David.
I agree with Sarah. This was tried in Alkincoats Park, and quite honestly, anybody who thinks you just put this grass down, this seed down, and you get a wildlife measure, you are kidding. Quite honestly, first of all, you've got to have somebody who knows how to maintain it. There's a reason why they call wildlife meadows, because you've got to cut them like the farmer did. You've got to cut them like silo time in June, and you've got to leave the seeds on the ground to dry so that they go back into the ground. You then cut it again in August and allow the same thing to happen again. So all your varieties, because most of these flowers actually come to seed at different times. What happened in Alkincoats Park is, in the wisdom of Pendle Council, they sent it out to a farmer and the silo was cut in September when all the seed was dead and everything, and nothing returned. And all we've got from that is spreading weeds and spreading rushes and all sorts of things, and it hasn't been a good thing. Now, picking spots and doing it and making them look nice, I agree with, but Sarah's 100% correct. This won't be cheap and it won't be easy. And we don't have, at this current moment in time, that type of gardening ability to do that sort of thing. But I'm not saying you shouldn't, but what I'm saying is just be careful because it ain't as easy as you think.
That's two people who got some experience and say it's not. Do we need to investigate it further then? What do you think we should do?
You can have a trip out to my house and I can show you.
So
Utopia at the moment, but it's a
if it's going to cost a lot of money and we don't have that money,
it's a load of effort.
Shall we leave it for the time being? What do you think? Oh, Alice?
I was just going to echo what people have said. It is incredibly difficult to get a decent wild garden, and we just haven't got the manpower. We're struggling as it is with Primmett, just cutting that lawn in front of the building. It needs more work there rather than just thinking, oh, let's just grow some grass and then we won't need to cut it. You will need to, and we need to do what we've already got really, really well.
So we've got a proposal to hang fire and not. So are we all right?
Sorry, who was it?
Yeah. Can we vote that we don't go any further with this at the moment? Thank you. Item 16, to consider the recommendations from the FES to approve the annual review of a number of Town Council policies. So now these have been to the committee, the FES, for discussion, and they have been approved, and they just want council to say, yes, we agree. So the first one is the CCTV policy. Can someone propose that we accept that? Thank you, Neil. Can I have a seconder? Howard, thank you. All those in favour? Well, not according to.
If you're happy to say you propose each one of them and you're seconding each one of them.
I'd like to propose all of them individually.
Yes, Howard? All right. Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. All those in favour of all these policies. Thank you. Oops. Sorry. Papers. Right. Item 17 is to receive the response from the Lancashire County Council in regard to the council's concerned about the gully cleaning within Colne. And we had a letter, as you have all seen, which basically said, this is what we do and it's enough to do. We don't think you need to do anything else, I think. What response do you want to give to that letter?
Can I move that we know, Chairman, that the letter from Lancashire County Council, can I, in doing so, can I comment and say it's the normal rubbish that we would expect from Lancashire County Council, just leave it at that.
I suggest that we get the portfolio holder for highways to Colne and we spend time showing him the blocked gullies, both rural ones and the ones that are in the town centre that we're all aware of. Last time I was on Patton Street, they were all blocked. I hopefully sent people to have them cleared then, but they're all over town, these block gullies. I suggest that we ask for a visit with Charlie Edwards to come and look and see with his own eyes.
Should have some influence. He's a portfolio holder, is it? For highways. I've finished.
Chair, is that we
disappointed in the response, and we would invite with full pomp and ceremony, I've forgotten his name already, the portfolio holder to come, and we will show him how wonderful their system isn't at clearing blocked up gullies.
I volunteer for Skipton Old Road, it's awful there.
Jonathan.
The last paragraph says they've got a two-man Lancashire County Council jetting team operating in the Burnley and Pendle districts for reactive jetting works. Can that be right? 2 men for Burnley and Pendle for reactive jetting.
It's reactive though, not planned.
Yeah, reactive, so that's probably worse.
Well, it's a disaster.
Yeah, so it's worse. 2 men for a disaster in Burnley and Pendle, not just common. And did they say they use a contractor, Sapphire Utility Solutions? Right, I've never heard of them, don't know what they do. I agree with David. Clegg, Councillor Clegg, we sent out that letter, but please come to call.
Yeah, come to go.
Yeah, so if we ask him to come to Coles,
Yes.
and if he doesn't do anything, then we can send the letter saying you're absolute rubbish.
Yes.
Yeah, can I say that out as a proposal then, maybe that to them? Sorry.
I've got David and Joseph and Jonathan and secondary.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Right, all those in favour of doing that? Thank you. Colne neighbourhood plan. So who wants to speak to this? I know we've got quite a few speakers who would like to speak. Sarah?
We had 2.5 hours on this last week. I think that a lot of people were swayed by what our planning consultant says. He is our expert that we retain from this council. He gave us superb advice, which we would not follow at our peril. It could be the end of the neighbourhood plan if we didn't follow his advice. We listened to all the arguments then. It's a beautiful evening. I, for one, feel that we have gone through all the arguments. We don't need to speak to them again. So I propose that we move on with all speed. Slight update for you. I've heard from the chap who's doing our design codes, head of the team that's doing our design codes, and he's looking at August, September, early September at the worst. So I propose that we move on to Regulation 15 with all speed.
Do we have a seconder for that? Do we have any amendments to that?
Chair, until the neighbourhood plan group, whatever its advisory committee has had a meeting and actually gone through all the bits and pieces, because the last missive, I think is the right word, from Pendle that they were expressing in a report to their Policy and Resources Committee in December concerns about the way the consultation for Regulation 14 had gone. Now, talking to Sarah before the meeting, she's saying that Pendle said our consultation was absolutely wonderful, the best they'd ever seen.
Didn't say that, they said it was
Exemplary, well, whatever the...
Tina can back me up on that. And in fact, we were all sent that resume on the working group by email, working.
I'm sorry to contradict because I've been thumbing through my emails earlier and I can't find it. So if we were, I didn't receive it. There is also a bit of a problem at times that all the information that we get tends to be all verbal. and actually going back and finding things that were decided and weren't is difficult, to say the least. So I think before we say we gallop on at post haste, we do need to make sure that the committee whose job it is to look at the neighbourhood plan actually looks again to make sure. I'm not saying, you know, we have to delay putting in regulation 15, but I think to actually suddenly say, oh, we're going to jump ahead with it post haste is just a little bit premature. And if the design work and whatever is not likely to appear until September at the best, or was that at the best or the worst? So, well, even though, you know, that gives us July for the committee to have a meeting and just dot a few I's and cross a few T's. There has been a lot of concern about land at the Lenches. There's been other concerns of other bits of land. And as I say, there is, sorry, it's gone off my screen. I was going to quote that, but it doesn't matter. We just need to make sure that we haven't somewhere along the way just missed something, because I can't recollect that at a meeting of the working group we actually went through all the comments received to regulation 14. We didn't go through and say, you know, some I assume it was Michael Wellock or Claire, I've forgotten her name. Comment was, we have we agree this, we don't agree this, and so on. Well, really, it's not them, it's us that decide that they work for us. So if we say we're including this or not including that, it's up to them to then follow what we're saying. And I think we just need to make sure that people are on board with it. I know, you know, Sarah's done a lot of work on it, but at times you know, we've had reports to the council meetings, and it's been there's been so much of it that I think it's very difficult to take it all in and get the implications of it. So I just think we need to. We've got this committee. Let's make sure that has a look at the suggestions that we've been. If the motion is amended to say that the committee looks at progressing to regulation 15, I think that's fine. But you know, to say post haste, I think is a bit. You know, what happens if when we see the landscape views that are coming in, we all say, whoa, hang on, they're not what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. We wanted this one, we wanted that one. And we've got to make sure that we do it in a we've sorted that, we've sorted that, we've sorted that. We've either included Lenches or not. There are other bits of land that people in the comments said should be included. So, you know, why weren't they included? Dewhurst Street is one that people have mentioned. There's the land in front of the old grammar school. that people down there are concerned that at the moment it's in, but let's make sure it's in belt and braces. So all I'm saying is let's have a meeting of the committee and let's look properly. Let's have another proper look at what's there and make sure it's right so that we don't fall foul of things in the future.
You're not saying returning to regulation 14, you know, you're just saying you want another look before it goes forward. Alice.
If that is a proposal, then I would second that. I just don't want to go to regulation 15 and find out that the local, the Pendle Borough Council are going to throw it out. I'm very concerned about the document that I received, and that is the pre-regulation 15 comments. There's a lot of things that say it's going to fail in its present state. It says failure to formally notify the local planning authorities and other prescribed bodies before the consultation is something that we need to discuss, as Howard suggested, during this time that we've got while we're waiting for the other documents, just to make sure that whatever we put forward to the local authority is going to be enough and it's not going to come back.
Sarah, do you want to say something?
Yeah, that's not fair because, I mean, David and I were talking before the meeting. The consultant from Pendle Council unfortunately didn't see all the documents on our website. So the first response was ill-informed, and it was changed again before it was finally submitted from Pendle in January. So going back off that, when they know that they didn't see all the documents, is misleading. The point about all of this is we have gone through all of those changes. We have looked at that massive spreadsheet. We've got our consultants rewriting policy where appropriate. We're beefing our evidence base, hence the design guide, hence the long range views analysis. All of that is to do with passing all the basic regulations and making sure that we tick all the boxes before regulation 15. Going back, doing stuff again now, frankly, I'm losing the will to live with it, given that it's my time that is being wasted here. We heard from the consultant last week. He was unequivocal about it. We have been working since January to meet all of those things that we need to meet to do the thing for regulation 15. I think we take a vote on the amendment and then take a vote on the motion that I put forward and crack on.
Neil, you were the first, I think, and then Liz.
Just for clarification, I understand that I've heard everything spoken here. So I'd like to ask Sarah a question. Is it time critical? I mean, is it do or die? Okay.
We're up against the local plan part 2. Of course it is. You heard all of that last week.
But when you're going to get the other stuff in that you need to?
We've got the long range views analysis. We've got the prospectus. We've done the work on the different sites. We're waiting for the rest of the viability that's coming from localities. That's an analysis. And we're waiting for the end of the design guide. We still have to hear from Michael about tidying up some of our policy wording to represent the very latest of what it should represent. But that's where we're up to.
So you couldn't have a meeting in between all that of the neighbourhood plan just to show
You're asking me, Mary, whether I want to do that.
Well,
And
no,
I'm
you
telling
don't
you,
want to do that.
I'm telling you that no, I don't want to
right,
do
I
that.
know that.
So if somebody else wants to do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Liz.
We talked this through last week. We were all sent away and told to think about it. I know you Lib Dems had your own meeting to discuss this at length. People were commenting last week, why didn't we vote? Why isn't a decision being made? And now we're fannying around again, trying to find ways to keep people who should have responded at the right time happy. I'm sorry, it's not enough to say Sarah's done a lot of work. Sarah's nearly killed herself doing this plan. And if you're going to railroad it this way, I sincerely hope that you are going to put as much effort in as she has, because you're going to be doing it. All of you that
Chairman, I have to agree with most of what Sarah said. In fact, let's go back to the comments that have been disclosed tonight that Pendle Council made, saying that we hadn't consulted properly. They did put those comments out, and those comments did go to Policy and Resources. And when both myself and Sarah was at that Policy and Resources meeting, and when it went to Policy and Resources, and it was pointed out to them that they hadn't looked at our documents correctly on the website, and that they had been careless enough to miss half of them, most of their objections were instantly withdrawn because they could see the evidence was there, but they hadn't seen it. And you can hardly blame Colne Town Council for them being incompetent and not seeing it. So what I'm trying to say is the document that we're talking about that says that Pendle didn't consult properly is obsolete and was incorrect in the first place, and it was amended. So that's not relevant. And as regards what Councillor Hurley's saying, that the Lib Dems have had a meeting and decided that they are going to sort of railroad or derail or whatever you want to call it, this plan, is utterly and completely a lie. And where she's got this from, I don't know, because she says she's been told that the Lib Dems have had a meeting. Now, I don't know who told her, because she certainly wasn't there, and I certainly did not say. Chairman, which one of us is speaking? Thank you. I certainly did not say at any meeting that I was going to derail this plan. In fact, I've said from the beginning, and I've mentioned this to Sarah on the phone many weeks ago, that this plan, as it stands now, protects certain amounts of land in Vivery Bridge, which I have been trying to protect for the last 29 years, and I am not prepared to delay this plan and scupper it and put the pieces of land in Vivery Bridge. And
one of the many emails that I know you received wrote to us and told us that this person had been told that you were having, by Mary, he said this person had been told you were having your own meeting about it. I didn't say you'd decided to railroad. What I said is we've had a long time to talk about it, not only the time we spent in this chamber last week, but the additional time that you spent talking about it in your own meeting. I didn't say that the meeting had come to a decision to railroad the plan, but I definitely feel there are people who were at that meeting who are messing about in ways that well, I just hope they don't get what they're wishing for, because if they do, they could be sorry.
it's not. Chairman, now Councillor Hurley's responded to what I said, and I just very quickly finish what I was saying. Because I think we have to move forward with this. I'm not saying we have to go galloping off, but we have to move forward with it. But the other one single point I want to make is there has been mistakes made with the plan. You can expect any plan that is made, there will be mistakes in it, and somewhere down the line you have to correct them. But going back to the beginning is not the way of correcting them. But the main point I want to make is it was previously a working group. Because it was a working group, it wasn't written in stone that minutes had to be taken. What is going to be different now It is a committee now. Admittedly, it's an advisory committee, but it is nevertheless a committee. And each meeting of that committee will have to be minuted properly so that there is a record of what was said and what was agreed. And that is something from the working group that we do not have.
Tina always had this, and the members of the working group saw those minutes. What they weren't available for the rest of you who aren't on the working group. So the minutes were kept.
But now it's a formal committee, it will be available to everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think we're at risk of appearing unprofessional now. We're at the precipice. There are the fairly petty arguments of the last 10 minutes have not looked good. The consultation of the neighbourhood plan was one of the best in the history of neighbourhood plans. This has been confirmed. We've done this to death. And it is time we cracked on, because at the moment we're at risk. And I just think, Chair, if I may, we should go to the vote.
Sorry, Chair. Just to go back to the agenda item, it says to consider the progression of the neighbourhood plan to regulation 15 when ready. So the requests for things to be looked at by the advisory committee, obviously you'll be working on that the whole way through anyway, wouldn't yourselves? Or whether the plan is going back to regulation 14. That's what the agenda item is for decisions tonight.
Excuse me, what I was suggesting is to make sure that before we get to regulation 15, all these odd bits that have been hanging around are dealt with finally. So we can't just say, I've forgotten the lady's name from that's doing the views. We can't just say we accept them without seeing them properly. All I'm saying is that we properly make sure that we have a meeting with that. We have a meeting to finally, there are one or two odd bits that people have asked to go in, that, as I understand it, if they've asked for something at the consultation stage to regulation 14, if we agree to it, we can put them in before it goes to 15, which is what Kirkwell's told. It's not Michael Kirkwell, is he? Told us. So if that's all I'm suggesting.
I've got David. I've got Gina, and then David, and then Alice, and I think we should get on to voting. Okay.
Right. I mean, yeah, can I just say that all the comments and the responses to the Regulation 14 consultation were provided to the working group and were discussed at a meeting where Kirkwells were there. So it was all discussed. We also had a meeting with the consultant doing the landscape assessment, in which she proposed what she was going to do, and she asked for feedback. And different views were put forward in that meeting, which she added to her list, and she then put that in, is going to put that in her report. Yeah, I mean, it's not that, yes, there were some comments in the regulation 14 that suggested that we could improve on quite a lot of things, but we have been working on all that in the background. The landscape assessment, the design codes, everything is for the purpose to negate these negative comments and show that we have responded to them. And don't forget, people have had 5 years to put their pennies worth in. It's not that it hasn't been. I mean, now obviously it's an advisory committee, so it is now public, which is going to be better for it anyway. So all documents, minutes will be available to the public. So
So could I just reassure people on terms of, how the next 2, 3, 4 months are going to go? You remember Michael Wellick talked about the locality health check, the MOT, as it were, on the plan. So what he's going to do then, we agreed with him basically that after this meeting, he would then seek a booking with locality to try to ensure that the plan could fit in and be reviewed by locality to make sure that all our site assessments, green spaces, heritage assets, et cetera, all stacked up together so that they could then say, yes, you're in the position to go to regulation 15. So that's what he wants to do straight after this meeting with the councillor's support. Once that's done, then obviously we've also got to work with our appointment date, which we'll get from them, work backwards from there to finish off all the bits and bobs that we have to do, the things that came out of the regulation 14 consultation, the things we've all spotted since then to tidy things up and correct things. Then the working group, the advisory committee can have a look at it then, say, are they happy with it all? Here are all the steps that have gone through to get to there. If the design guide's a little bit slow in coming through, then, well, that could just have a little blank space for the time being. It's only going to be a detail of what materials to use in what places and what's good practice, etc. And then the end product will be that the advisory committee will have said, yep, they're happy with it, and they advise the full council to vote for it to send it to regulation 14. 15, sorry, 15. So all those steps have got to go through, which means there is the scrutiny, but we need to resolve today to push ahead with that locality MOT checklist so that they can then be happy that we can go to the next step and that all the documents are in place, all the evidence is in place, and we've got a plan that's ready to go forward further.
Alice?
Sorry, Chair. No one has said that we should not make those steps to go forward to section 50, regulation 50. No one has suggested that we don't do that. I'm just making sure that we have the opportunity, which we've just been given, that we will have the opportunity to, and we know we've all said to the views lady, I've forgotten the name again, these are what we want, but we want to make sure that when they come back, her visualization is the same as our visualization. That's what I'm saying. We just need to make sure.
Yeah. So are you happy with the wording when ready for the plan and after what David has said?
I think we're actually in agreement with what we're saying. All we want to know is that everything that we are worried about is in the plan or been discussed. I mean, I've got this document that said about failures and it's got final. So I assumed that those comments from the regulation 15 were in place. However, I'm told that they're not. It's these sorts of problems where people just do not know, in fact, what's going on. But this is the time when we can move on. We don't need to go back to regulation 14, but we do need to review what we've got.
You just have to read the emails that she sent you. It really is that simple.
I think we're going to have to vote because it does say to consider the progression to regulation 15 when ready. Brian? No, he doesn't. Yeah. So can we go to a vote that we're either it goes back to regulation 14 or it goes forward to regulation 15 when ready? So we'll take the proposal 15 first. Sarah, did anybody second that? Councillor Hurley. Right, all those in favour of it going Right, item 1 is 21/0406/HHO, Dawson and Sons, erection of a detached garage to rear a dwelling house. Has anybody any comments, concerns, or anything else? Are we all right with a no comment? Yes, thank you. We'll move on to the second one. That's 21/0394. Can we not speak? Can we know? So FUL, that's BJR Foods Limited, that's KFC. External alterations include repainting, new fascia boards and cladding. Any issues, comments? No? No comment? Aesthetics, maybe. There's a second one for KFC, and that's an illuminated aluminium sign and 13 other illuminated signs and 5 non-illuminated signs. Does anybody have any concerns with these? No? No comment again? Right. The next one is 21/0410/HHO. That's 4 Car Road, Colne. It's an erection of a part single story, part 2-story extension to the rear. Any issues on this? Yes.
It's a very large extension, but the I can't just see. Yeah, that location plan that is up on the screen actually doesn't. When you look at the other location plan or one of the plans, it shows it's actually doesn't. It isn't as large as you would think it was from that. I can't remember which one. There is one plan which shows the distances from the other buildings, and I think although it is large, it is acceptable in that corner plot. Oh, they're having a KFC in the back garden.
Are we no commenting? Yeah. Okay. Item 4 is 21/0426/HHO. It's Stanroyd Barn, Skipton Old Road. Yes, I've got 2 speakers, Sarah and Jonathan.
This has been, if you read the heritage statement, done entirely for security reasons, because they claim people have been hiding in the recess of this barn. I am uncertain about this. The fenestration as it currently stands is quite sympathetic, and this is more Kevin MacLeod than you'd expect to find in a former agricultural building. So I have written to the conservation officer and asked her advice, and pending that advice, I will or won't call this in, depending on what she's got to say.
I was told by the person who put the planning application in that they had actually got advice from Rosemary Lyons. I think I would say no comment on this.
So no comment unless Sarah calls it in for some reason or other. Yeah, are we happy with that? Yes. Right, 21/0441/HHO. It's 12 Chapel Street at Colne. It's the insertion of a dormer to front and rear roof slopes. Any comments? Yes, Sarah?
Advice on this one too. I'm not against dormers particularly, though. Obviously, the danger that you have in a terrace street is that you get a mismatch of sizes and shapes. And if you look at this one, it totally ignores the aspect ratio of the windows under it. So it's almost as if it's got a split personality. You know, like that children's game where you flick for different heads and different bodies and different feet. That's got somebody else's head on top. So I've asked for advice from the planning officer on this one, and we'll see what she has to say.
Thank you. Alice, and then Doc.
Yeah, I think we've got to be very careful about this one. It will be the first dormer of the street. It's one of those streets that have cobbles going down and very traditional. So whatever we decide on this dormer, it will make a difference to the next one. So I think we've got to be careful about this. I'm unsure about the back of it being square and made of concrete, I think. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Yeah.
Dorothy.
Just to give you a bit of information, on all these, well, most of the streets anyway, Earl Street, Chapel Street, Exchange Street, Knowsley Street, there's only one dormer, and that's next door to me, and I've been there for 40 years. So this is the first one that's come in this area in all these years.
So are we saying anything about this or not?
Is that we are worried about the size of it and the proportions of it, and also the
street scene,
the negative impact on the street scene as it is now.
Are we happy with that? No? Jonathan?
If we're so against as a council building new houses for people in Con and they have to live in terrace properties, but they can't really fit in them, and we're going to be against something like this, I think it's pathetic. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with that, Jonathan. And Tony Greaves always used to say, if people want to stay in the houses that they've lived in a long time and they want to extend a little bit, that's all well and good. And I think that you're absolutely right there. But it's got to be right, hasn't it? It's got to be right design. But you're right.
I don't think that's the issue. I think they were talking about the concrete and the actual bits of it. No, I don't think so. Well, I can't talk to it for anybody, but
yeah, I am not against dormers. I'm just concerned that we will set a precedent of design. That's all I'm concerned about, and I don't like the back of this design. So I'm all for them having a dormer, extending. There's not a lot of room. It's 2-bedroom properties, I think, so that it would be good for them to have the extra space, but it's the design we need to be careful about.
What do we want to say then?
I agree with Howard's summation. That's what you said,
What did you say?
Sorry. Sorry, Chair. Would it be, in essence, you're in favour of it, but there's concern about size and proportions of it and the impact on the street scene?
Yes. Yeah. Comments on that? Yes, Sarah.
This is a lovely location near Albion Coast Park, and yeah, this is a really posh style fence. Whereas it could have a lovely neat hedge or mixed nature hedge, but it's soft. And to me, it just seems in this location an incredibly posh groundskeeper treatment. That's not a picture of the fence. Probably a radical family perspective, Mrs. Dolphin. I just think it's a missed opportunity in this location.
Oh, Councillor Clamp.
Yeah, this will be a first start. The fence you're talking about is in number 1, the first item on the agenda, because that's in the garden to this house. The two are connected. That's what I was trying to say when I got rebuked. It is. The truth is, they're not on Alkin Courts Road either. You can't access this house from Alkin Courts Road because there's a gate in between. You have to come off Harrison Drive. But the truth is, all these planning things refer to the piece of land on the first planning application because it's his garden, and the fence you're talking about is actually opposite to the number 1 house, not Swan Side. And you're quite right, it is quite substantial and not in keeping with the rest. Yeah.
Is it a planning application? Is it the fence included in the plan?
Not in this planning application, I believe it's in number 1.
So is it in number 1? Should we have done it? Should it be in this one or the number 1?
So that's the fence that goes from the track down towards whatever the thing where David Hawthorne lives.
What are we saying then about this?
This is just an idea. Wouldn't it be lovely, from a wildlife ecology perspective, in this location, to see a sort of nice native hedge? Wouldn't that just be gorgeous? Cheaper too. Look at it.
Is that a planning reason?
Probably not. It's just my feeling.
So are we putting that? Is there any comment then? That planning.
This sort of idea about putting hedges rather than fences actually comes into the neighbourhood plan. And so I think it needs to be put in that we do not like this fence and really would love to have a natural boundary.
Yeah, Neil, they've
But
got
we can
permitted
say-
development
we can say
rights.
what we want.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be deciding, are we? We can say what we want really, because we're only commenting. So do we want to say we don't like the fence and we'd rather have a hedge or something? What do people think? Okay. Yeah, that we don't like it's a bit harsh or some overbearing, that's the word, yeah. And it would be a softer with a hedge. Yeah, ecologically sound. Right. 21/0464/HH 17 Russell Avenue. 17 Russell Avenue. Has anybody any comments on this? No? So we're having a no comment. Yeah? Nobody's saying anything. So thank you. Yeah, well, right. Correspondence received, item 20. We've got a letter from. We've got Mark and then
Yeah, thanks,
Neil.
Nathan. Yeah, I've read through the letter a couple of times, and I must say I'm extremely disappointed with the tone in the letter, at the veiled accusations against, a particular councillor that works very hard, and also the company that we employ to do the maintenance work. I've only been involved with Alkin Coats for a year, but I can certainly say that in that year, since walking through the park, it's in a lot better condition than when Pendleborough Council had it.
Absolutely.
So when I climbed off the ceiling, after I'd read it a couple of times, thinking with my constructive hat on, there's accusations in there about bad maintenance. However long a list Mr. Lampkin claims there is, I would like to I propose that we write back and ask him to send us a list. Then we can identify them point by point, which I suspect we won't get a list from him. So.
Yeah. Councillor Hurley?
I mean, I go to the park nearly every day, and on every day I've been there, I can say it's better than it has been in every way. It's either the same or 100 times better. And there's no doubt about that in my mind whatsoever. It is completely unjustified. David works his socks off.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
I go to the park almost never, which means that I see the difference, because if you go every day, you don't see a difference. And the last time I went, not one, but two random coners that aren't known to me, no idea who they are, took it upon themselves to come up to me and say, wow, this park's improved. It's so much better. I mean, almost like David had paid them, but it really genuinely, people don't come and buttonhole you with good news like that if they don't feel it welling up inside them and they need an outlet to share that joy. So,
Right, and I'll write a request. I'll write a request, a list of his concerns.
David and then Neil. No, it doesn't.
Oh, right. When I read this veiled criticism of me, I were a bit upset to say the least, but this gentleman has got it totally wrong. This particular area that he's talking about, that I represent, is on lease to the Philip Wright Crown Green Bowling Association, who are a charity. And like this council, we have to go out to tender for everything we do. And Unique Cleaning have won all of those tenders so far. So this gentleman is assuming that you're paying for all of these dues. We spent well over 11,000 in that area last year. And there is a capital works programme for June belonging to the Philip Wright Crown Green Bowling Association, not this council, of £7,000. And there are two very big projects, the tables at the side of the cafe, which are absolutely damaged and everything, we are going to replace. And at the same time, we are going to put a disabled path in. And we're even looking at more than that. But we're also going to, at the bottom, anybody who knows the park, if you're a disabled user and you get to the cafe, you've got to turn back because there's no way out at the bottom of Barcross Street. So we're about to build a wall that in future years would allow us to do something with those steps that would allow a disabled access completely through the park. So the £7,000 and all the money he's seen spent there is actually being done by the Philip Wright Crown Green Bowling Academy and not this council.
Thank you, David. Anybody else? Anything to say? No? Yes?
It's not correspondence to this council is talking about. I only just wanted to. I don't know the official word for the department for the COVID police. However, I've had a complaint from every pub in this town. These two gentlemen go into these establishments. So I've had a complaint from all the pubs in the Colne area, reference the COVID police. They enter the building, they do not sign in, they do not sanitize. Okay, and these people are telling these publicans to move chairs, move tables, do this, do that, do that. And in fact, they're doing what they're not supposed to do. If one of them has a virus, he's spreading it throughout the town, going in these pubs. So I'd like this council to write to Borough Council and ensure that these people follow the rules that they put in place. It's very serious and they're very angry. They're doing all they can, they're spending all the money to get things sorted out, and these blasé people are coming in and doing exactly what they shouldn't do. So I'd like you to write to them. Thank you.
Yes.
Before you do that, I've taken up this complaint with Neil Watson, and Neil Watson sent me an email and said that they are not obliged to sanitize or sign in. The only thing they have to do, these are the rules and regulations, is to wear a mask.
Well, isn't now, sir?
Well, it is, I agree. But that's how it is. So there's no need to write a letter, I don't think.
Well, with this council permission, I want to write a letter, and if he wants, with this council's permission, I'd like you to write the letter to him and just tell him that if the people of this town have to abide by the laws, then they should abide by the laws. Well, then that is horrendous. Just there, young man. That is horrendous. We are fighting a pandemic, and these people are shameful. If they don't sign in, how do you know they've been there? If they don't sanitize them, they're spreading the COVID. There's no ifs and buts. I'm sorry, Dorothy. There's no ifs and buts. They must sign in and they must sanitize. We all abide by the laws of this land, and so should they. Thank you. Don't let them in. No, don't let them in. No, seriously, I'm very strong about this. If they don't sanitize and sign in, they shouldn't come in. End of story. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Neil, it's not on the agenda, and you're a borough council, so you could write as a borough councillor to this. I think that would be that. Pardon? He could write as the mayor. Yeah.
I want to bring this up at the next full council.
Yeah. All right.
Not fair me about the law.
Item 21, items for the next full council. It's 9 o'clock, so it's going home time. Anything anybody wants to bring up? He must, yeah.
He's got a figure.
Good job.
He's working his steps, don't worry.
Right.
Yeah.
Time and date of next meeting then. It's Tuesday, the 20th of July, and thank you for your attendance.